Hello, and thank you for joining me for tonight's episode of Silly Sammy vs. Sophisticated Sam's super secretive scholarly showdown. Tonight, the participants will go head-to-head in a 5-question battle. The participants who gets the most correct answers will go home with $1 billion. I'm your host, Sporty Sam, if you couldn't tell from my sports gear. Before we start with the questions, why don't we introduce the contestants?
Hi there, I'm Silly Sammy. I'm a freshman here at Miami University. I currently chose to opt out of the first year integrated core because I just really don't agree with it. I don't really like working in teams because I like to work by myself because that's the best way that I work. I don't really believe in all the stuff they're telling me about creativity and all that nonsense, so I just dropped out and I'm doing stuff my own way now. Stay silly.
Hello there, my name is Sophisticated Sam. I too am a freshman here in Miami, but I am enrolled in the integrated core. I love it. I love everything about it, whether it be working in teams or just collaborating with different people and just getting my ideas out there. I just love everything about the core, and I really think it's going to benefit me in the long run. Thank you for that, gentlemen. Now let's begin with the questions. Question 1. What is the difference between a finite player and an infinite player, and which one might be better at running a company and why? A finite player is someone who plays by a fixed set of rules and is always trying to outlast the competition. Whenever they're making decisions, they tend to look at what the competitors are doing and try to make decisions based off of that, which is completely wrong and really not the right way to run a business. Someone who is an infinite player is doing things to better themselves and their company. They're not really looking at what everyone else is doing. They're just trying to follow their core values and beliefs and use that to make their product better and better to meet the consumer's needs. Often they'll be making value-based decisions versus interest-based decisions, which is obviously better for running a company because you have to stick to your values.
Yeah, well, I don't really know what all that stuff means, but I'm a pretty competitive person. I like to beat a lot of people in sports or whatever the case may be, so I think finite's the way to go, because why wouldn't you want to beat competition and be better than a competition? That's just that's what it's all about, so that's just what I'm thinking.
And question number 2. In your opinion, do you think schools kill creativity?
I personally don't really think that schools kill creativity because I don't think that everyone is born creative. So if you're not born creative, how can it be killed if you never had it to begin with?
Well, I disagree with you there because I do think schools kill creativity. I personally believe that everyone is born creative in their own way and you just have to figure that out for yourself. But with that being said, in school, we've always been taught with a fixed mindset. Everything only has one answer. There's only one way to get to this type of solution. That's just the way it's been throughout the education system for as long as I could even remember. But if we just switch that over to a growth mindset, where we just consider all the possible solutions, being creative in a sense, knowing that everything doesn't just have one solution, I believe if we can do that, then schools will no longer be killing creativity because everyone will be using creativity in their own way. And time for question 3. Explain how in order to be successful, you must take risks and be resilient. And with that comes a lot of failure and rejection. In order to take a risk, you do have to be okay with failure, which I know may sound crazy, but it's not. When you're taking a risk, that means you're doing something that you haven't done before. Therefore, you're growing because you as a person are trying something new. With that being said, there's always a possibility that you're going to fail and get rejected, which is okay. Too many people are caught up in the notion that failing is bad, but it's not. If you're not failing, it means you're not trying anything new and you're not expanding your horizons. And if you're not trying anything new, you're just going to be stuck in the same place without ever moving because you're too scared to take a risk. With that being said, when you do take a risk and you fail, that's okay. And if you fail time and time and time again and you just keep getting rejected, that's okay as well. That's what we call resilience, which is the ability to continue to keep trying after failure. Don't give up if you fail one time, because you're just going to learn from your mistake, and in the future you can use that to your ability.
Well, I can relate to this whole risk situation because the other day at the casino, took a big risk. I bet my car on the slot machines. I failed pretty miserably. I lost my car, and the rejection comes into play when I went home, told my wife, asked her to forgive me. She said no and kicked me out. But you mentioned this resilience thing, so maybe tomorrow I'll just go to the casino and give it another shot, eh?
Question 4. Explain what divergent thinking is and how it may be beneficial when working in teams.
Well, you see, I'm not really too sure what the whole divergent thinking means, but I do know that I don't like to work in teams. I like to work alone. I like to be by myself when I'm figuring stuff out, so I can just do it my way, which is the right way. I don't have to listen to anyone. I can just get stuff done when I want.
Well, I couldn't disagree more, but divergent thinking is being able to approach problems with multiple solutions, not just attacking the problem with the same mindset every time. You're thinking of multiple ways to solve the problem. This could be helpful in a team setting, because when you have a team of a bunch of people who are divergently thinking, you're not going to each just come up with one answer. You're each going to come up with multiple solutions that you're going to be able to be bouncing off each other, and you're just going to have a great brainstorming session when you're just all divergently thinking. And this is ultimately going to lead to the best solution, because you're not just thinking of the one way that you're used to thinking. You're taking in all these other different ways of trying to solve this problem and using that to the best of your ability with your teammates who are all doing the same thing, ultimately leading to the best answer that you can find. Last but not least, question 5. Describe the relationship between curiosity and ambiguity, and why the word curious sometimes has a negative connotation to it. I personally think curiosity and ambiguity go hand in hand. This is because curiosity, that's when you're trying to explore everything you can. You're asking questions, you're looking everywhere to find the answer. And ambiguity is the unknown. So if you're curious, you're going to try to explore the unknown. So that being said, I feel like if you are curious enough, you're going to be exploring the ambiguity of everything. Now, the reason why I think that the word curious has a bad connotation goes back into the schools killing creativity. I think that it also goes hand in hand with schools killing curiosity, because when you're growing up and you're told not to be creative and you lose that creative mindset, you're going to lose that curiosity mindset also, because you're not going to just be curious or just be creative. You're going to use them together. So that being said, I think that the word curiosity has a negative connotation, just like the way creativity does, because we've just always been told growing up and throughout our lives that, it's pretty much just not needed.
Well, I don't really know what the word ambiguous means, because that's kind of a big word, and I just never really learned it, but I do know curious, and that has a negative connotation, because Curious George was very curious, obviously, and he was always just getting into trouble, because he was just trying to figure stuff out. So I think that's why there's a negative connotation behind it, because Curious George, everyone saw that he was getting in trouble when he was being curious, so no one really wants to, end up like him, so they just decide not to be curious.
Well, thank you for that one, Silly Sammy. But that just about wraps up tonight's episode. And if you couldn't already tell, Sophisticated Sam is our winner, and he will be taking home the grand prize of $1 billion. Thank you, and see you next time.